Good afternoon, listeners and viewers, and welcome to another episode of the News Behind the News. You're listening to Ralph Cantab right here on Mix 94.7 FM. And today I have a special guest in here in the studio with me. Today he's going to take us into the land of everything digital. I brought him in to basically talk about tech and the digital landscape, particularly in the time that we're in, where some of us may have been remote workers, or even where our children, had to do hybrid learning and so forth. And I think that the future is moving. The future is, you can't stop the future. Change is on the way. And so what better way to prepare for the future than to find out the information on what's going on. And so without further ado, I have with me Mr. Marvio Cooks, and welcome to the program.
Hi, Ralph. Glad to be here.
Okay, great. And so while I know you, going back a couple of years, there may be one or two folks who are not aware of you. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Marvio Cooks. I am currently an ICT coordinator with Division Public Education, where my job is to help introduce new technologies to the classrooms and also help guide teachers in how to use said technologies. In my free time, I have a consultancy called AltoSpire, where I do leads and project management for primarily tech businesses, and also making sure that local small businesses and medium businesses can get paying customers that they need without having to, stop their own business. So I do the liaisoning and everything for them there. And then on my other free time, I just recently became the president of Swaliga Youth Basketball Association. I'm also the director for the Win Gaming. And also I am director for several other things that I don't come to mind right now.
Okay, well, I'm aware of those things, so I'll bring them to the forefront. So to begin, well, one of the first things that came to mind and bring you in is the fact that a lot of people complained about the difficulties that their children had during the lockdown. One, from internet speed, two, to even access to a device, whether it's a tablet, computer, laptop. And I think in addition to that, just I think it's in a sense children being comfortable with their devices, but then their parents in a sense kind of being scared that it's gonna take over their lives. So I guess my first question for you would be, how critical is digital education and the role of technology in advancing the way in which children learn?
Well, I like to say that it is as critical as the radio was back in the day when it was first introduced to the public for dissemination of information, so that information can be distributed to the masses. That's as important as it is today. You mentioned something very interesting there, which is the truth, which is mostly it's the parents that are apprehensive to using the technology because they're not aware of it. The students, on the other hand, are a lot more familiar with it. And it's just a matter of guiding the parents and also teachers to becoming more comfortable with what the students are already comfortable with. One of the apprehensions that I've experienced is, teachers saying, well, the students might know how to use this tool more than me. And I don't want to seem like I don't know how to use it, or they might outsmart me using it and so on. And I think, I don't know if you remember, but right after Irma, we had a little presentation we did at the university where we talked about things of the future that are coming and so on. And in that presentation, here we are, it was less than 5 years.
Exactly.
And, we're already there where digital education is paramount to moving along any kind of information to students. So it's very important. The way to get to use it is to get familiar with it. YouTube is full of best practices to using digital learning or online learning, distance learning. There are many tools that have their own built-in how-to videos, best practices. And what we need is to not be behind anymore and actually take the steps to becoming personally developed in using these digital tools such as Teams and such as Google Meets and different things that are used to give digital classes.
Okay, very good. Now, one of the things that comes to mind is the resources.
Yes.
So we are familiar with, for example, the blackboard.
Yes.
Not the chalk,
yeah, not the chalk one, but the one
chalk
online.
but the one online. And even I like that so many teachers also share their experience here locally in terms of using, I think, Google Class. Microsoft have their resources available.
Teams, yeah.
So could you share a bit on how helpful, not just helpful, but how important those resources are, and ways in which even parents can start to learn to understand how they function?
Well, like I said, there are several, there's a lot of documentation, especially on those two tools that you spoke on, which Google and Microsoft have put out a good bit of how-tos and best practices, and videos and text information for people to follow. And I recommend doing that. And it doesn't take long. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here. Instead of watching your favorite cooking video, instead watch, how to use Teams in the classroom, or how to use Google Class in the classroom, how to use collaborative cloud technology for sharing out quizzes, for example, in your classroom digitally. What we need is to encourage people to get out of the fear of learning something new and understand that this is the direction that we're already in. Not that we're going. We're already there. We were there as the world and as a whole. They were there already. But on St. Martin, we are in this nice little oasis where we kind of get to pick and choose when we start picking up things. But until you're forced to. And the pandemic forced us. For example, where I work at, Division Public Education, my now division head, Mr. Marks, then fellow ICT coordinator, in 2014, we decided to take a look at Office 365. They had just switched from SharePoint to Office 365, and we noticed the direction that they were going, the amount of tools that they were adding to that suite, that software suite, to make sure that not only classrooms but businesses can also share information, meet, and do a lot of other things that otherwise you would have to get different tools to have to do them, and then hope that they connect. Back then, we decided to get it, and that was how many years now? Is that 7 years? How many years? That's a lot of years. And today, when I say today, but when the pandemic started, I remember looking back and saying, "Wow, if public education didn't invest in getting Office 365 and having Teams, today during the pandemic, we would be in a whole nother crisis of trying to acquire this software suite or a software suite like it during a time where funds are low, morale is low, and so on." So thankfully, our public schools were able to learn this software years ahead. They had at least 5 years of training and using it and learning how to use it before this pandemic happened. And then once it kicked in where we had to use it, we just, I was one of them who said, "Hey guys, remember when I said eventually, well, here we are now." And it's just a matter of rolling it out and having them use it and get used to it.
Oh, one thing that comes to mind, actually, while it sometimes seems like a problem, but it's still a solution, is the gap you have between our teachers, for example, and parents, and technology. So they may be slow to adapt to a bigger phone. You often tend to hear some people say, "All I need a phone for is just a call, and that's it." Call and pick up.
Until they see a friend who does something different, and then they're like, "Oh wait, I want to try that."
Or even their child, then is like, "Hey, how you do that on my phone?"
Exactly.
And then you didn't have one.
Exactly.
So you see where technology is also helping, helping to bridge that divide between generations.
I like to call technology the facilitator. What it does, it helps you do your job that you would usually take a while to do. It helps you do it faster and better with more efficiency if you do it right. One of the things that I do encourage people to do, other than just watching the videos and learning the technology, is get a free trial where you can. Use it when you can. Google is free. Google Drive is free. You can download it, put it on your computer, on your phone, whatever device it is that you like to use, and start using it. Because just like a bicycle, if you don't start using it, you're always going to be shaky. You're trying to, get on it. But once you start using it, much like how people have become used to using WhatsApp and Facebook.
Yeah.
The reason that we're so proficient in using them is because we use them.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
we,
yeah.
We
You
use
just
them
put it,
daily.
cast it
They're
aside.
there,
Exactly.
You know, so we need to do the same thing with online learning tools and so on.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things, to go back to a statement you made, is still the fear. So how do we address the fears that people have?
In my experience, one of the best ways to address the fears, you have to identify the type of person that is approaching you, telling you what they're afraid of when it comes to technology or what they're apprehensive about. Because not everybody takes a personal development moment in public the same way.
True.
You know, especially on Samaritan, we're very prideful people.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's very helpful is to have one-on-one sessions and bring it down, bring it to their level. You know, don't go and showing all of the extravagant features that the tool might have, because you might lose the person because they're still trying to get into the basics. So come in and use examples of their work. So that's something that I did at work as well, is just here's an example of something that you would do in your day-to-day routine, and here's how this tool fits in helping you do this faster and better. So, you know, bring it home to them. Let them see that it's not something foreign, it's not something external. It's actually an addition that can actually help you. And that's one of the best ways to do so. And then also provide them with videos or documentation that aren't too long, that are, don't use high-level terminology, and that, you know, explain the things as visually as possible, as easily as possible. And I've noticed that doing that has helped a lot of persons who were apprehensive to at least, you know, log in and start using it in the most basic form. Because once they start doing that, they'll start exploring. It's natural. It's intuitive. You're going to see a button, you're going to click on it, and also reinforcing to them, you know, letting them know, hey, reassure them that you're not going to break it. You know, feel free to click on it. Feel free to do all of this. It's been heavily tested already.
Yeah.
There's nothing you're going to do that's going to break it.
Yeah.
So just feel free to use it. And that's what we have to do. We have to make them feel comfortable with using the technology and not make it foreign to them. Let them know that it's okay to not know right now, but you will know as you continue to practice.
Okay. So one of the things I want to go to next is ways in which, you know, the fact that whole career landscapes have been changed. But before I get to that, I think my final question in terms of the parenting and so forth is supervision tips.
Yes.
Reason being is because when me and you and those before us, we were comfortable being outside with just a stick.
Yeah, marbles. The other day I was talking about marbles. How fun that was.
Yeah, exactly. You know, anything whatsoever, making a game out of it. I mean, we heard stories of our parents making tops and all those type of stuff. And so what you have is the difference is where, no, this generation is more, you know, in their place in terms of whether in one place on the phone or on a tablet, and parents kind of fear that, okay, they spend too much time online, and while it may be helpful for you in school, you know, it may be bad for your eyes and these type of stuff. So what would you say some supervision tips? Also because I remember a few years ago, going to do a presentation at a primary school, and you know, I was kind of blown away by the fact that majority of the class that it was a 5th grade class, majority of the students had their own YouTube pages.
Look at that. That's awesome.
And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
And then I remember a young boy, he said he had like 50-something subscribers. I was like, wow, I only have like 4 subscribers on my YouTube page. So it goes to show you, you know, that like, look how they're expanding their network even.
Our kids these days are digitally inclined. They're more digitally inclined than any other generation before. Yeah. And we have to...
And how can we supervise...
What we have to do is we have to, again, be aware of what's out there and then know how we can curtail or guide them. I'm not a proponent of giving a kid a device, connecting it to the internet and then just letting them go.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Because you might not know how to navigate that device, but they do.
Yeah.
And then
or a friend of theirs
might, or they might go on YouTube. And there's no parental, if you don't have parental filters on, then there's a lot of content out there that's not meant for even eyes like us.
Correct.
You know, we're adults and I wouldn't recommend people watching those things. So, you know, to protect your children's gates, that's their eyes, their ears, and so on, you need to, again, find out what's out there. If you know, like, for example, that there are sites that you do not want your child to go to, you can go to even your local ISP, so your internet service provider, and ask them, hey, can you put the settings into my router, into that device, so that certain sites are blacklisted? Or learn how, you can even do this yourself as well. You can go and learn how to go into your router and blacklist sites, or even put a internet timer on your router. So for example, at home, especially like during the weekdays, I like to set a timer so that my daughter's device disconnects from the internet at a certain time. So now she's forced to, get up, hey, go read a real book. Go outside
around,
and play, go
get
do
some
some
fresh
stuff.
air.
And, thankfully she's very active, so she likes doing that. Saying that, we also have to become very aware of the addiction, the addictive part of things.
That we ourselves fall into as adults.
So that's where we have to be very, we have to play the balance. Don't be anti-tech person, just, oh, no, because then what you're doing is you're holding your kid back.
Yes, it's true.
Because the rest of the world is moving forward. Now, find a balance. Even if you drink too much water, you can drown yourself. So what you need to do is set filters. Come up with a time schedule for your child. Let them know from this time to this time, this is when you have screen time. And regardless of how much that child might feel, oh, I just want to know.
No,
This is screen time. Screen time is over.
Etc.
This is what you do. This is what you have to do next, and so on. So give them a schedule. Put them into a routine. Set filters onto your routers, so you can blacklist sites. Make sure that you are checking your child's device periodically to make sure what it is that they're watching. Check their YouTube history. Even on YouTube now, they made it much easier in the settings to create those parental filters, so you can say, okay, what channels are allowed, and which ones are blocked. And that's what we have to do. You have to meet your child where they're at. Be active. Be as active, if not more, digitally than they are, so that you can understand the words that they are telling you, and they don't fool you either when it comes to using the device. That's what we need to do as parents. It's embrace it instead of fight it, but embrace it in a way where we are in control and we understand this is what's happening, this is what's available, and this is how I can protect my child from outside influences that might be negative.
Yeah, because everything you said is so spot on, because I think it was Steve Jobs or some other, was it Steve Jobs?
And Gates.
And Gates. Who said that they won't even let their children use a device that they sell to us.
Yes.
Because they understand, the dangers. And one of the things that come to mind, although this is a bit on the extreme side, is China, which recently said that, they're going to limit the number of time that children can be online. And gaming.
Yes. Yeah.
So what you said, I think that the underlying sentence or thing was really the discipline and setting order. And that's where, I say we as parents, but society overall have to live orderly lives. That way our children can grow up with structure.
Yes. Exactly. And that's why I do like in the schools, I do notice that in the schools they have certain schools have a rule for screen time and so on. And that helps put that discipline in them. And, I encourage teachers to do so as well, because having the right mix of things is what helps our kids grow properly, as opposed to, let them do it on their own, because they might find themselves going down paths that we don't want them to. So be digitally active, be there with your children, make sure that you're the one setting the parental settings, you're the one setting the password for your router, and that all of your children's passwords for their devices as well. And for doing this, you can use password stores such as LastPass, and there's other ones that store your passwords for you, so they're like a safe for your passwords. You can have all of those, and you'll know what your kid is logging. So that way you're not locked out of your child's devices either.
Or and then the old fashioned, you also write it in a notebook.
In a notebook, but make sure that you have it and you know it, because if not, then that's where problems will come. You need to have access to that device.
Well said. So go back on the whole YouTube thing now. It is common for children to have YouTube pages, Instagram pages, TikTok, which is like the ringing king right now.
That's actually surpassed YouTube.
So with that said, I think that it's okay for children to be engaged in these things, but What would you say though in terms of how can we still ensure that that protection is there?
Well, when it comes to YouTube and TikTok, it's the same thing when it comes to the privacy rules and also your parental settings. My thing is, so for example, my daughter wants a YouTube page. Right? She loves to do her own reviews on clothes and dances that she likes.
Oh wow!
And I sit down and I have to listen to them. But I prefer for her to have her YouTube page private. And one that I share with just the family.
Yeah.
So only the family gets to see it. She still gets to do her recording.
Correct.
She still gets to be part of this digital age and have the experience, but it's private. It's controlled. There's no, if you can't do that, then, and you want your child to be online publicly, control where comments are. Take off the comment section. Because the internet is a deplorable place.
Yeah.
There's nice things
I was
on
gonna
there,
say
but
trash,
there's
but you said it. And I think that's going back to the fears that parents have.
And so in order to protect our children from those things, again, we need to be the ones that are actively not only controlling but encouraging them on how to do this. So, for example, if your kid comes to you and says, "Mama, Papa, I want to be on YouTube for to do book reviews," that's cool, that's nice. It really gives them the experience of being in front of a camera, presenting themselves, of having the discipline to prepare a show, to prepare, that all of that stuff comes into professionalism and building your own personal development. But if you leave it to them, then you might find yourself with comments where people are just being trolls and bullying your kid online and doing things like this. So this is why it's very important, be part of it.
Yeah.
If they want a YouTube channel, sit in front of the camera, sit behind them and guide them with it.
Yeah.
Be the one that's basically their manager. You upload their videos. You manage how, take off the comment section. If you want to make it private, share it only amongst friends and so on. Because again, even when we played outside, stranger danger. Remember? So it's the same thing online.
Yeah, you had a limited way. Don't cross this line.
Yeah. And by the time that street light come on, you must be home. That kind of thing. So it's the same kind of rules, only thing now in a digital form.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well said. And then so on that same YouTube topic, another and I think this will be the bridge into new careers is, for example, I think one of the biggest headlines we saw was this young, I think he was like 9 years old at the time, who made millions just of doing toy reviews on YouTube.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure you're familiar
Ryan,
with it.
That's the fool. That kid, and it's funny if you see how he started. It's literally just reviewing toys that he liked, and then companies started realizing how many views he was getting, and then it led to their benefits too. And that was it. So and that he turned that into a career.
Exactly.
And it's nice to see that the parents let him embrace it and grow with it.
Yeah, he can buy his parents a whole house.
He's actually paying for his old parents' household. but in that sense, there are jobs that are going to become obsolete, and there are careers that are going to become more important. And there are those that don't exist right now, and they're going to exist because of the current world situation. Yeah. So, for example, one of the jobs that are becoming obsolete is going to become obsolete is driving, taxis and so on. We are moving into the self-driving car. Yeah. It's hard to say, but if you take a look at how cars are being developed,
every major car company is investing in self-driving vehicles,
automated vehicles,
whether their own brands or even investing in other up-and-coming brands, startups,
so that they can put it into their vehicles.
Exactly.
And so what happens to taxi drivers? Uber. Uber was one, and now Uber is probably going to suffer the same problem. Yeah,
because Uber was pitched as, hey, this is like the best side hustle because, hey, all you got to do is just after work, drive around a few hours, you make a couple $100. But what happens when, a car could just randomly just drive up to your house?
Drive to your house. I mean, there's cars that you can just call and come pick you up from the parking lot.
Correct.
Come. So that's one of the jobs that is eventually going to go down.
Yeah.
Is being able to drive people around and do so, because I'm pretty sure companies like Uber will invest in cars that drive themselves and so on. So
they already did.
So and another one is nursing. When it comes to healthcare, especially, and this was before the pandemic, and now with the pandemic, it's been exacerbated. You know, we need
because of the shortage that you have. Yeah,
and also technology in healthcare. So data and analytics is something that is booming now. You need people that are able to actually sort through and compile all of the information that's coming and be able to present it in a way that can be used for decision making processes and
Correct.
so on. You also creativity is going up on the rise when it comes to careers. Why? Because a lot of the rote work is being automated.
Yeah.
So that means, you know, and that's why I find it funny that here on St. Martin, we still do some of our banking, you know, and not automated. That's another conversation.
Yeah.
But eventually, you know, and one of the things they say, oh, well, if you automate it, we're going to lose jobs. That's not actually, you know, entirely true. Retrain your persons that are doing that job, because now they can focus their time on something else. They can focus their time on another part of the job that actually needs a human being in front of it for now, you know? So that's another one. So nursing, technology and healthcare, engineering is another one. And then there's simple ones like designers. We need graphic designers. Graphic design is on the rise. We have web design. Yeah. We have application development. So if you realize, a lot of it is just being able to be comfortable in the digital realm. And adapt.
Yeah. So because that really goes back to what you were saying about that willingness to learn.
Back then when we did that presentation in USM, I spoke about being able to learn in breadth and not just depth. So it was being able to, yes, you can specialize in something, you can become a specialist in whatever area you like, but don't don't put yourself in a silo, you know, when it comes to that, because Irma showed us, that was the first one. Irma showed us, you know, a lot of people, they were in hospitality, the industry went down, they had to get, you know, a new niche. Either construction, being an electrician, or something else. Something else. So as you are learning your specialty, dabble into other things that you might find interesting. Correct. So just in case you'll have that contingency plan to fall back on, and who knows, maybe your fallback will actually be what you actually like to do. Correct. And you'll be able to use your plan B as your plan A. Correct. So I've seen a lot of people since the pandemic. I mean, since the hurricane and the pandemic, going into their own business. Yeah. Or something totally other than what they even studied. Completely out, you know, and it's because, you know, they explored it, they realized I'm actually good at this, and I can actually, you know, put my time and make something out of it. Make a living, exactly. So, you know, don't limit yourself, especially now. We're in the information age like never before. Yeah. Learn a new skill. Be comfortable with knowing that change is nature's delight, and we have to just be comfortable with change, because us growing from being kids to now is change. Yeah. And we need to be comfortable with stepping out of that comfort box and realizing that time isn't going to wait for anybody. Not living in our memories. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with Mr. Marvio Cook.